Hi, guys. This is Michael from Nomadic Insights. Thanks for joining us this morning. Just want to very briefly talk about a new cannabis related IPO and some of the risks associated with that IPO. Flora Growth Corporation, which operates a series of diversified CBD related businesses and medicinal marijuana businesses, is in the process of offering its stock to the public in the United States on the NASDAQ exchange. There are a number of risks associated with investing in CBD and hemp related products. Despite the 2018 Farm Bill, there is still a total lack of clarity at the federal level in the United States for CBD products sold within the US. And based on the free ride and prospectus, it does appear as if Flora is looking at changes in the US regulatory market under the Biden administration to propel demand for its products. That doesn't seem to be a very realistic expectation. And like any product and any investment, there is substantial risk associated with CBD. There is not a very clear regulatory regime. Jurisdiction is very unclear internationally as well as nationally within the United States. So there's a lot of regulatory risk with this investment. So if you're looking for a good, stable, solid investment, it's going to have a nice economic moat. Not sure Flora Growth is going to be for you. And let's just go into a little bit of why is this potentially a buy and why am I a little skeptical of it based on some of the geopolitical factors, which Flora doesn't really have any control over. So the main reason to buy this stock is probably because of its farmland holdings with Fonseca, which has very premium land for the cultivation of cannabis in Colombia, where it's been legal to cultivate cannabis since 2016. That prime real estate or location gives Flora Growth Corporation an exceedingly good cost of production at 6 cents a gram. That 6 cents a gram is about nearly 75% less than its nearest competitor in terms of growth cost for cannabis. So what that opens up is a wide series of opportunities for additional investments. So now you're probably wondering, that production cost sounds great. There's beauty line products associated with everything, but what about the risks associated with CBD products? So cannabis legalization, if you look at the FDA website, you're going to see that the information is opaque and obtruse, which means it's not very easy to understand. So it's not even really clear right now if a CBD product can legally be imported into the United States. So the 2018 Farm Bill did allow for the importation and exportation of hemp based on my understanding. So, you get the fibers, you get that. So the hemp business for Flora Growth could be a win. But when you're looking at something like Epiloidex for the treatment of epilepsy using, CBD derivative, which is the first marketed treatment in the United States, most of the interest with CBD cultivation is related to the pharmaceuticals. And that is still very unclear from a regulatory perspective. There is a lot of risk and there's not a clear regulatory regime. There are multiple conflicting state and federal laws within the United States and global jurisdiction and international jurisdictions are the same. So while there has been rampant decriminalization, there has been, improvement, there's not really socially acceptable use of, smoking weed or dope. So the consumer market, which is going to likely be most of the market for this over the long term, as big tobacco is replaced by big marijuana, I'm a little skeptical of. So as the regulatory regimen improves related to marijuana, marijuana cigarettes are going to probably be a thing. I know that sounds very, unpleasant to hear, but I approach marijuana investment as very similar to investing in jewel or in other tobacco. It is a vice-driven investment, and investing in vice without an economic moat or an established brand is very risky as an investor. I'm not saying that a vice investment is a bad investment, but what I am saying is, based on the current market forces, demand is still unclear, and the price savings after you add in taxes of Colombian cannabis don't necessarily seem to be warranted because importation presents a much greater risk and a much greater cost than the actual production of the marijuana. And when you're looking at the taxes, these seem, especially in California and Colorado, where legally produced marijuana has a substantially higher cost than black market cannabis that's currently produced in Colombia. It's kind of like, okay, these don't really make a lot of sense to me, from an investment based perspective. I do like the diversified lines of business. Flora Beauty looks pretty interesting, where they partnered with former Miss Universe Claudia Vega. Again, that looks interesting. I'm not saying that the company isn't legitimate. I'm not saying that this is like going to lose you money, but again, with most CBD products, if you don't follow the marijuana market, like I do not follow this market heavily, but I can tell you that superior production costs usually lead to some sort of economic moat, because we do need to assume that there's an optimal place to cultivate and grow cannabis, and that seems to be in Colombia. But that being said, I don't know if it's necessarily worth investing in this IPO based on the current regulatory regime. If there was a clear set of repeal regulation in place where it was clearly legal to import and sell CBD containing products in the United States, this would be a buy. Looks like a really good offer. But because it is still not clear whether or not the sale of CBD oil products is actually legal in interstate commerce, and I'm a little skeptical. I know that that's probably like, wait, what? CBD oil is not necessarily legal? Yeah, it's a gray zone. It really is a gray zone once you factor that in. So I would strongly recommend a little bit more DYR and a little bit more research. I am going to link to the FDA regulations on cannabis, where there have been a number of cease and desist letters sent by the FDA, and I think we're going to be seeing a period of more active regulatory enforcement. This really impacts crypto as well as cannabis, which are really growth areas where there is not very much regulation. So you don't mess around with FDA regs. You really do not want to do that. That is a very bad idea. The enforcement is really quite vigorous over the long haul. But if there is a reason to use CBD, it is scientifically and quantitatively better than other existing cures. Let's get the cure to market. I do think that Flora is trying to follow the rules, and that's really important, because I don't think that in the cannabis market or in the crypto market, which are two areas I'm trying to cover a little bit more, I don't think you're going to see a shortcut, quick, easy path to success, because that doesn't necessarily make your company sustainable over the long term. I mean, just look at what happened with Uber. They tried to shortcut it, regulatory blowback, and then the CEO was ousted because he tried to shortcut success. So that didn't work out too well. But again, Flora Growth looks like it's a solid company. It's being listed on NASDAQ. Company's based in Canada. It has a fairly interesting set of subsidiaries, and it does look like it could be decent a long-term play. But again, don't invest money you can't afford to lose. This is for educational purposes only. Do your own research. Looks interesting to me. Might pick up a few shares in the next couple of weeks when the offer happens. But again, do your own research. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you like, be sure to subscribe. Join us for Skeptic Sunday and on the Nomad Nation Discord. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great one.